जाएगा.
Cruisers, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's start with this safety rules, okay, folks? Safety first. Now, first, folks, there's no prolonged standing on the boat. We all have to remain seated. All the little ones will have to remain seated, okay, folks? And number two is let's watch our elbows. We'll be passing on the boats, and there'll be some narrow areas, so just be aware, folks. Now, be comfortable, but be aware. Now, before we get started with the tour, folks, I have a quick question. Do I have any locals on the boat? Anybody from San Antonio here? Okay, let's get to know. Do you have a local? Get to know. You know why I asked that question, folks? Because now I know I can't just make all this up. No, I'm kidding, folks. Everything I tell you will be true, guys. Everything I tell you will be true. Look, Mr. and Mrs. Claus and the Grinch.
तुम्हारा
Santa दिखा रिकॉर्ड ही नहीं किया.
And we can start with this part of the right here, folks. This is the Riverside Mall area. And this was done back in 1988. And here at the Riverside Mall, there are 125 shops and restaurants here. Not only do we have all that, there's 125 shops and restaurants. We even have an adult daycare here to right about, folks. It's called Margaritaville. One place. Coming on here to the left of us, the sculpture you see here, she's called the Stargazer. And she's one of the newest pieces of artwork here on the boardwalk. And the artist says she's holding something called a titular star. It's a star with a hole in the middle. And he says at certain times of the year, you'll be able to look through that hole in the star and you can pinpoint certain stars in the sky. I'll show you folks, see a little star there with a hole in it? I'll tell you something else, folks. There's also a sign when I see that sculpture that says, please do not climb on the artwork. So I don't know how you're supposed to see a star through that little hole right there. Here to the right about, the statue you see here is a statue of St. Anthony, or San Antonio de Padua. And this statue was a gift for the 1968 World's Fair from the Portuguese. Here to right about, if you look on the wall here, you'll see a church steeple there. That's the steeple for St. Joseph's German Catholic Church. And this church was built in 1868 by our German-speaking immigrants here. And if you look here to the right about, you'll see that building there. That is not the church, folks. That's Riverside Mall where we just left. Now, originally, when they were building this mall, what they wanted to do was to buy the church and just tear it down and build on the whole piece of property. They wanted the entire block. But of course, who's going to sell the historic church? So what the Riverside Mall did was, they just bought all the surrounding land and built on all three sides of the church. So from right here you can tell, there's a little bitty church there in the middle, and then Riverside Mall to the left and the right. They didn't even leave a room for a parking lot. It was actually just a church up there. Well, take that back. Technically, there's parking for 4. And like I said, that's an iconic church. Once a year, they have their Mass in German. They have an all-male German choir that sings in there. They even have all the original stained glass windows they brought from Germany in there. It's a beautiful church.
Maybe we did not eat that night, we ate the next day. And the food was okay. It has very good reviews. It's like must eat.
Mexican.
hotel coming up here in front of us, folks. This is the Hilton Palacio del Rio. And this hotel is in the Guinness Book of World Records for being the fastest modularly built building of its size. They built this entire hotel from beginning to end, 500 rooms, in 202 working days. Now, 202 working days, that's less than 8 months. Now, just to give you guys something to compare that to, less than 8 months, if you look at your live book, you see our ticket office here, it took us 18 months to move these two little buildings here. I'll tell you about here to the right, 18 months. Here to the left, 8 months. Now, the way they built this hotel so fast, folks, so we went on the first 4 floors right here in sight, along with the elevator shaft there in the middle as a base. And all the square rooms you see, those were being built at the exact same time, 7 miles out of town on an assembly line, and they were brought in on flatbed trucks. And when they arrived here in town, every one of these rooms was fully furnished. Everything was in there. All the beds were in place, pictures on the walls, the dressers, mirrors, TVs, everything was ready to go in every room. All they had to do was use 2 giant cranes and stack them on top of each other like Lego blocks.
I remember, right? We just got out of our hotel and that's it.
And each individual room here weighed 70,000 pounds.
Maybe we lived in, we stay in this.
Somewhere this way. Yeah, we can keep going this way. I remember.
This is a light show. This is the place. कुछ लगा रखी है ना?
हाँ, लगा रखी।
And this part over here in front of us, this is the Arneson River Theater. The seating is to the left and the stage is to the right. It's an amphitheater divided by the river. And we can seat 800 people here in the Arneson.
शादी हो रही है, शादी में है।
We call that intimate seating. Because with 800 people up there, you will get to know your neighbors. And this probably looks familiar. If you've ever seen a movie called Miss Congeniality with Sandra Bullock, this is where they filmed the swimsuit competition.
तालाब से asking is it better?
Here to the right about, this is the Briscoe Western Art Museum. And this used to be the San Antonio Public Library from 1930 until 1968. In 1968, it was renovated and turned into the Hertzberg Circus Museum. In 2013, it was renovated again and turned into the Briscoe Western Art Museum.
The hotel listed as somewhere this side.
And this bridge was built in 1890 by a British ironworks company. I tell people the only thing I don't like, this is why we don't have 7-foot tall boat drivers here on the river. You gotta know exactly which way to go under this bridge according to your height. Now here to the right about is something for the romantics here. This is called Marriage Island. And we have about 300 marriages performed right here on this little island every year. This is where Father Damien Massenet held the very first Catholic Mass here along the river back in 1691 and actually named it the San Antonio River. So it's considered to be a holy site and an extra blessing on your marriage to get married right here. So people come from all over Texas to get married right here on this little island.
I think Western. Where we stay. Yeah, I think Western. Stayed here, this hotel.
यहाँ रखे थे मैं
This hotel. I
हम
remember.
इस होटल में रहे थे
I remember this stairs.
पापा लास्ट टाइम इस होटल में रहे वेस्टर्न खाना तो कहीं बाहर ही खाया होटल में थोड़ी खाया
ये पकड़ ले इधर मैं इधर बढ़ जाऊँगा हमारे लिए
And coming up here to the left about, this is my favorite building you'll heard about. This is the Tower of Life.
चश्मा लगा ले
नहीं नहीं
And it was built in 1929 called the Smith and Young Tower.
ये बात सही
Mr. Smith and Mr. Young were really superstitious, so they put the gargoyles all the way around the top. There's actually 16 gargoyles that circle the top of the building. And if you look right above the secular windows here on the bottom, you'll see some faces. And those faces are called grotesques. They put those there to help ward away evil spirits and make sure they make good business investments. And this next bridge we're running right here in front of us, see that sign in the middle? It says St. Mary Street.
वाली बोर्ड देखो
Now this is the St. Mary Street Bridge, folks. Now this bridge, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to go under right now, the St. Mary Street Bridge. Now this bridge right here, folks, has no historical significance. Just the bridge.
सेल्फ पॉइंट कर लिया
Except for this, if you look back at the Tower of Life building from the other side of the bridge, it looks like a ship coming down the river. So they designed the whole frame of the building right at the bottom of the ship.
आपने बड़ा बनाया
And right here, folks, this is where we kind of slow down a little bit, make sure there's nobody coming. Now we have three-way traffic right here along the river, so we slow down, hit the foghorn. So here comes my horn, folks. Let me count loud. Here comes the horn. Gotcha. When I first got this job, folks, I was like, what'd you take that thing out of a Pinto? Or a Prius or something? But no response. Okay, nobody coming. Now we're going to make this turn right here, folks. And when we do, we're going to be on the deepest part of the river walk here. This is all 15 feet deep. This is our flood control canal. Now the rest of the river goes all the way around. That's only 4 feet deep through the entire downtown area. But this part was dredged out for flood control between 1921 and 1941. Because we had a flood here, folks, back in 1921, before this section of the river was added in, and the water here in the downtown area alone was 10 feet above the street level. So that's a lot of water we have to do with here in the downtown area, 10 feet above the street level. And right here, folks, here's something else for the romantics. If you look up on the street over there in front of us, see all the locks on the fence up there, the lovely young couple? Now, those are called love locks, like in Paris. Now the tradition says you and your love come down and you put a lock on the fence. And you both kiss the keys and you throw the keys in the river, sealing your love forever. So right now there are thousands of keys beneath us in the river. And if you look back from the other side, there's another fence on this side with hundreds more locks on it. And I used to tell people, all those keys are beneath us in the river right now. But I had to stop saying that. All those keys part, I think some of these guys might be a little unsure of themselves, shall we say? Because I realized, well, if you look at your left, look, there's a lot of combination locks up there. So a lot of these guys are not throwing their keys in the river. And I'm not too sure if it's still open today, but there's a little store right here on the corner called Love Street where you can buy locks right there and put them on the fence. And look, you see the name of the street, folks? I'm talking about Old. When I first got this job, I was like, I wanted to do what the name of that street was, and they put all those locks up there. And here to the right, folks, this is the Jewelry Plaza Hotel. And back in the turn of the century, this actually used to be a bank, and they still have the original chandelier hanging in there. And the vault. There you go.
तेज चला है मैं स्पीड बढ़ा दूँ
Now, right here, folks, we're going to make this right-hand turn, and I'll give you a quick visual of what 10 feet above the street level looks like. Now, first of all, that's going to be 10 feet above the St. Mary Street Bridge coming up there in front of us. And for another visual, folks, if you look here to the left of the boat, you see this black brick building coming up here in front of the boat. This is the Jewelry Inn Hotel right now. But back in 1921, when we actually had that flood, this was our CPS office, city public service. This is where you come pay your utility bill. And there was a picture in the San Antonio paper. The headlines read, ironically, the CPS office floods. The water was just below the chandeliers in there. So that's what 10 feet above the street level looks like, just below the chandeliers in there. Here to right about, this is the Aztec Theater location. Now this is the third ticket office here on River Office, but you'll take the exact same tour with the exact same company and all. And if you look on the street level here to the right about, folks, you'll see that red brick building there. Now this is the side view of the Aztec Theater. Now this theater opened in 1926 as a silent movie venue. But you know, back in the 60s and 70s, they actually started playing talking movies. And on a personal note, folks, I've lived here my whole life, 55 years. I'll take that back, 56 years. I was one of those kids, folks. I spent the entire 80s in that building right there watching Kung Fu movies. And this next bridge we're running right here in front of us, folks. Now, this has become the most popular footbridge on River Rock. We call this the Selena Bridge. Now, if you folks have ever seen the movie Selena with Jennifer Lopez, this is the bridge they filmed on here. This is the scene where they're walking along the river and it comes down on a bridge. This is the bridge. So we call this the Selena Bridge.
Anything for Selena.
Anything for Selena. And I do touch that bridge every time I come by, folks. Whether I have guests on my boat or not, I'll touch that bridge. You know why I touch that bridge? Because Selena Quintanilla and Jennifer Lopez stood on that bridge. I had a game one day, folks. She saw my ring. She said, does your wife know you touched that bridge? I said, no, man. When my wife's in my tour, I'll leave that part out. And coming up right here, folks, I'll show you the second optical illusion here along River Walk. When you pass this bridge, if you look straight up to the left of the boat, you're going to see the old Knicks Hospital. And this hospital was designed from the Riverwalk side to look like a flat rug. So when we pass this bridge, if you look straight up to the left of the boat, you'll see a 26-story wall with windows. So from right here, look straight up to the left, folks, look, it's like a 26-story flat rug with windows. And some very famous people you folks may have heard of were born here at the Knicks Hospital. Carol Burnett was born here at the Knicks, and Oliver North was born here. One of our former mayors, Henry C. Nevelos, was born here. And I was born here. June 5th, 1967. Woo! I tell people I'm semi-famous anyway, so it kind of counts. And I also just found out, folks, there's a character in the movie, The Fast and the Furious. In that movie, her name was Letty, Michelle Rodriguez. She was also born here at the Knicks Hospital. This is called the River Square, and this is where you'll find most of the bars and restaurants here along the river. So if you folks have ever wondered, does anybody actually fall into the river? Yes, they do, folks, fall into the river. We average about 60 people every year that fall in. And they usually fall in right along in here somewhere. You know, we call those guys the Friday Nighters. Now, I also tell people, folks, that here in the downtown area, the natural flow of the San Antonio River is only 4 feet deep. And here in San Antonio, we are known for a party. It's called Fiesta. It lasts for 11 days. So I think they left this river 4 feet deep for a reason.
क्रिसमस जस्ट हो रहा है सब जगह क्रिसमस का चालू हुआ है
And coming up here to Rilo, folks, this is going to be Casa Rio Mexican restaurant. And this is the very first restaurant on the river. They opened in 1946. They were the first ones to offer riverside dining and also the first ones to offer dining on the boats. Two hotels coming to view here. Now these are both going to be Marriott hotels. The one to the left is the River Center Marriott, and the one to the right is the River Rock Marriott. Now listen to this story, folks. When they first bought the land to build this River Rock Marriott, there was already a hotel right there on the site. It was called the Fairmont Hotel. And the Fairmont Hotel is on the National Historic Registry. So it's a little historic 3-story hotel. So the builders of this Marriott had a little problem. So they couldn't just destroy that little historic hotel and put the Marriott up. They actually had to figure out how they were going to move it. So what they did was they put it on 36 giant dollies. Each one of them had 8 wheels. And they moved the whole building 5 blocks down the road to Alamo and Nueva. It took them 5 days to move that building 5 blocks. Now coming up here to right about folks, when we pass these trees, if you look at your right, you're going to see a tower there. And this is the Tower of the Americas. And it was the centerpiece for the 1968 World's Fair. And this tower is 750 feet high. It has a revolving restaurant and an observation deck. And that restaurant makes one full rotation every 45 minutes. So you can't really feel it moving. Although I have heard some people say, yes you can. But I've never really felt it moving. But I will tell you this, folks. I think the guys who built the tower had a pretty good sense of humor, folks. Look, I'll tell you why. Like I said, the restaurant does make one full rotation, folks, but the bathrooms do not. So when you come out of the bathroom, your table's not going to be over there anymore. It's going to be over there somewhere.
How long you taking it to the rest?
I learned that the hard way. I just saw my wife going, over here. Now right here, folks, this pretty much concludes our tour, ladies and gentlemen. So at this point, I'd like to say, please look around, folks. Make sure you have everything with you, okay? You don't want to leave anything on the boat, like your cell phones, video cameras, shopping bags, backpacks, things like that. But now if you do leave something on the boat, folks, don't worry, we do have a lost and found. You can retrieve your lost items at www.ebay.com. Oh, you guys caught that. My last guest didn't catch that. All right, folks, now we hope you guys had a good time.